Hello, everybody from wherever you might be joining us tonight, or maybe it's the middle of the night for you if you're joining us European time zone. My name is John Kranz. It's great to be with you again. This is the 35th time I've actually done this broadcast, so gray hairs are probably going to keep growing as I keep doing this. So I'm very excited to be speaking with you tonight. It's, again, episode number 35. It's July 2nd. For those looking forward to the holiday tomorrow, I hope you have the day off. Hope you're staying safe if you're needing to stay indoors and do that social distancing with the masks and everything. So I hope everybody's doing okay. We don't want anybody to obviously fall prey to what's going on right now. So as far as the format tonight, I just want to share a few things with you first. So first of all, I just want to give a shout out that Paper Wars is now shipping issue number 95, Hannibal, Italian campaign. Getting a lot of positive feedback from it. I've noticed on Console World Forum, on Facebook page, a lot of people saying, there you go again, making me have to spend more money. So people are really interested in this topic. So that's really good news. And we like doing, we like covering multiple eras, historical eras. And it's nice to be doing some more ancients for sure. So again, that's the big news that we've got Hannibal. That's now shipping with Paper Wars. As a reminder, Ty Bomba, who's our new editor, will be officially taking over with issue number 97. So we've still got one more issue to go. And then with issue 97, that's when we switch over to a full-fledged house organ, 100% focused on Compass Games and supporting our products and supporting you. Also for those on Facebook and on YouTube, welcome. Thank you for being here. As a reminder, you can post your questions or comments over on your chat. And there might be a slight delay, but my plan is to bring in your comments or questions, especially for our special guest tonight, who will be for Operation Storm 333. This is one of the designs being done by Christopher Davis. So we're going to be introducing Chris here in just a few minutes. And I like also saving, I guess I call it the best for last. A lot of you like to go based on a little bit of an adrenaline rush, and it's sort of end of the week for us, early end of a week. So as you can notice right here, what's this? This is sort of a new graphic, right? So this coming soon means I'm going to be doing a pre-order announcement tonight at the close of the session. So I'm really excited about that. I love doing pre-order announcements. So we're going to be doing that at the close of our session today. I'll let you try to guess what it is. But we'll be doing that at the close. So just for a moment, again, just want to repeat a few things as far as on our website. So again, just a reminder, if you haven't subscribed yet to our newsletter, it's something we send out once a week. It's the latest news from Compass. We give product information on what's added to pre-order, what's going to be shipping, what's, our recent releases, and then we get into other things as well. If you subscribe to the newsletter, we'll only hit your inbox maybe once a week. We'll only do it twice if there's like a very special announcement, because we know you get irritated if you get too many emails. And then you'll also notice on the bottom right of this homepage, that's me down there where you can reach out to me. It's great. I'm getting about three or four requests per day with questions. Mixture between customer service and a lot of project pipeline questions. What's coming down the pike? Are you doing a game like this? Got a question today about, are we doing a game like Imperium Romanum for Ancients? Would love to see a game covering that period. More questions about, can you do some more quad games? So we're getting a lot of feedback. And I'll use your questions for our town hall meetings we do every other week with Bill Thomas. And we'll be doing that again next Thursday on July 9th. Bill Thomas will be joining us for our third town hall meeting. And a lot of your questions, I will answer them directly, usually same day. But we also use your questions for our town hall meeting besides the live questions. So again, really looking forward to taking your questions tonight. And before we get started, again, that newsletter, if you subscribe, you will see here, this is the newsletter you might receive. So this is what we send out once a week. This is the newsletter we sent out 2 days ago announcing Paper Wars now shipping. So Hannibal number 95, I think I got it wrong. That Ty Bomba is actually maybe starting with issue number 96. That was a mix-up on my part. So 96 will be Ty's first issue with us. So he has no more excuses. This is 95. It's now out the door. It's going to you. Now Ty Bomba is 100%. He's the man in charge of Paper Wars now as editor. So there's number 95 with some information. We've got the table of contents page there. We talk about our recent releases. We like to talk about, say, the last 3 releases we've had. As you can see, this is what we're doing right now. This is our next on Compass TV. This is tonight's broadcast live. We'd like to get that out to everybody. And then we've got a link to our last town hall meeting we did last week. And a reminder, yes, hopefully, if the gods are smiling, hopefully somehow we can do Compass Games Expo 2020. Dates are in November. We'll, keeping our fingers crossed. It's something we've got planned, and let's just see what happens with that. So again, please subscribe again back to that newsletter. Just that yellow box right there is all you got to do, and the rest is quite easy. So that wasn't too painful, I don't think. Just a quick reminder, and again, please get your questions ready for tonight. At this time, I want to go ahead and introduce you to really a new designer. So that's why I'm really excited tonight. We just came off Joe Bukowski as during our last session. So, true veterans, done a lot of stuff, but it's time to make room for the younger generation of designers. And I'm really excited about that, to see what the hobby is going to look like in the future, and who's going to stand up and take the initiative and drive to do some things in the future. So without further ado, I want to go ahead and introduce to you Christopher Davis. Chris, how are you doing tonight?
Good. Hey, John. How's it going? Thanks for having me.
Sure thing. And remind everybody, where are you joining us from tonight? Where are you based out of?
Yeah, so I'm in the San Francisco Bay Area out in California.
Okay, great. Well, the reason I'm excited to have you here, Chris, is first I'm going to victimize you with a bunch of questions. And I know we have a really tough crowd. And whenever there's a new designer with designs, these are great sessions, because the audience always wants to know, if this is like a new designer, what's his design approach? Where's he coming from? What can I expect from a new design? So we have a very tough audience. So
that's fine. Hit me with all the questions you got.
They always beat me up as well. So I'm looking forward to that tonight, and I'm sure they'll come up with some questions when we start talking about some of your designs. So some background really quickly. We met, our paths crossed about a year ago. When I think we did our first agreement for a game we're actually not going to talk about tonight, but there are some other, there are multiple agreements and commitments we're looking forward to as far as releasing the games you're working on. We're going to talk about one in particular tonight, which is Operation Storm. So again, I think you're probably a little bit younger than me, because I'm 56 and you're like 50. I'm going to guess you're under 35 even.
It's a good guess. Yeah, you're in the ballpark. Yeah.
Okay, I'm in the ballpark. So this is an obvious question, so I'm not even looking what the audience is saying yet, because they're getting ready for you right now. Anyway, so I'm going to give them a chance to warm up and come up, with devious questions for you. So you're a younger generation. This is not common for me. So most designers I talk to are around my age, and we have a lot of talk in the hobby about, is it a dying hobby, other than seeing fathers bringing their sons in. So I'm going to ask you a really simple question to start. At your age, how did you get into gaming, and where did that interest and motivation come from?
Yeah, it started actually when I was really young. And so my dad was an Army aviator, and he's always tinkering around with tools and games to learn about, the threat at the time as an Army aviator. And I was always around, so learned a lot about kind of different, mostly like Russian stuff. So it really got me interested in history and playing things like Axis and Allies and stuff like that. And then one of my friends, also his dad was into miniatures, so I played a lot of World War II and Napoleonic miniatures when I was young. And then through college and through most of my 20s, I didn't play board games all that much, actually. I played a lot of computer games and PlayStation games that were military oriented or war game oriented. And it was about 6 years ago or so, 7 maybe now at this point, that I really got back into wargaming. I lived in Fresno, California at the time, near GMT headquarters, and I happened to go to a few gaming stores that were a lot of some designers and a lot of active players played, and I was hooked and played weekly sessions for a little while. The place was called Crazy Squirrel Games, I think. And so I had a lot of fun. And then from there, I realized just how deep this hobby goes again, and I was hooked.
That's great. I like the part where you said when you were younger. That's a different meaning for me. When I was younger, we're talking. So you weren't around when SPI was around. Even I was a little poor teenager. You missed the whole. Yeah, you missed that whole enchilada. But thanks for giving us some background there as far as how you got involved. Sounds like your dad played a role in that, and you had the group in Fresno. etc. And yeah, the video games, I totally understand that, given your generation. So how accepting have the groups been with you being a younger gamer? Like those 7 years of board gaming, was that really, were you like the youngest in the group, or just curious, what was the mix up of the folks you would meet with for gaming at the time?
Yeah, it was a good mix. It skewed a little older, but it wasn't an issue. And then when I came out to the Bay Area, I found a group of friends from coworkers and colleagues um, that had similar interests. And so the age thing kind of leveled out a little bit in my favor, at least. And
You're so lucky. You're
I
so young.
yeah.
You're so lucky. I'm jealous. Gosh.
But with the lockdown and shelter in place orders and stuff with California, I've reached out to a lot of people that I've met on Facebook, and we've been playing a lot of via Vassal from people from the Bay Area and also from around the country.
Okay, well, let's let people get to know you a little better. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing when you're not doing designs. You've shared a little bit about your background, like what you're doing today, maybe professionally a little bit. If you want to talk about educational stuff too, I think it's good just to introduce you to everybody. Sure.
Yeah. So one of my biggest hobbies is I love playing hockey. Big hockey fan. I'm a big Bruins fan, actually. There's a long story behind that. Without being able to play or watch hockey, I've been occupying a lot of my time with reading some of these books you can see behind me, and getting games on the table and playing on Vassal. Got a lot of solitaire games, and so a lot of my designs that are forthcoming will be solitaire specific or solitaire are optional. So just trying to stay busy, a lot more time on my hands than I expected over the last couple of months. But I've been putting it to good use, yeah.
Good. And we got a question already. Somebody wants to know if you happen to come by. I think this was quite a while back. FGA was probably, 15 years or 20 years earlier. So I don't know if you are familiar with the Fresno Gaming Association, if you've ever heard of them. Because
I've heard of it, but I don't think I knowingly participated in it. I may have met some people from it, but I don't recall. I don't recall any of that.
All right. And then let's see here. Andy's asking over on, thanks for joining us on Facebook, Andy. I'm sorry, that's not the right question. I clicked on the wrong one. Let's try this one. Keksu is asking over on YouTube, what historical periods are you most interested in?
Yeah, I have a range. A lot of post-World War II, even near future stuff, sci-fi. I know that's not so historical, but as well as 18th century, 19th century. I don't know much about ancients. I do have some ideas and concepts kicking around for games set in the ancient period, but not necessarily your traditional like ancient war games. But we can talk about that in the future at some point. But I have a wide range of interests. I think but 20th century and 19th century are probably the most common.
Okay, 20th and 19th century, perfect. And then another question from Keksu. He's doubling down on you. See, I like Keksu. He's already doubled down on you. He's already got a follow-up question. So this group's going to get you pretty good tonight. So favorite solitaire war game, if you had one to pick?
That's a hard one. There's so many good ones out there. And I really enjoy, what was it? Doolittle's Raid. I forget the name of the.
Doolittle's Raid. Yeah, we talked about that last week.
Yeah,
and we're just privately chatting.
Trying to look over here on my shelf here to see what the. Doolittle's Raid is one of my favorites. I just like the flexibility of it, because a lot of games they kind of put you in a fixed scenario and you kind of have to deal with the left and right limits of that scenario. But I really enjoy the way that one kind of lets you set it up, the scenario yourself, in the sense of picking which planes and modifications and targets for you, and then seeing how that unfolds across the game.
Great. Thank you for sharing that. So, boy, we got some really good questions coming your way. Some of these I want to save for later, though. So I don't want to jump the gun. But we're getting you guys are really good on sharp on both Facebook and YouTube. We got some sharp questions coming at you. So let's dig a little deeper now. So it's been 7 years, you said, where you got into board gaming. I always ask this question: where did you make that pivot into deciding, yes, I want to start doing war game design? Because we have people become developers, play testers, or they do house rules, they do their own thing. But you're stepping in at full bore. You're going full on game design. And how did this How did this come into being for you?
Yeah, so it was I think the first time it came to mind was when I was in Fresno and I met with it was actually my first time there, and I didn't know anybody there at this gaming session. And Mike, I can never say his last name, Berticelli, who made Tank
Yep,
Duel.
Mike, no, well, Mike Berticelli, great guy, really
Yeah,
friendly,
he
wonderful.
invited me to sit down at the table and try out Tank Duel when he was still working on the prototype. And so I played it with him. I had a lot of fun. It was nice of him to invite me as the new guy to sit down and try that with him. And asked him a few questions about kind of what you're asking me about design and how he got into it. And it just really sparked my interest of that process. And it wasn't until a couple of years later where I started to actually put pen to paper and try to make some of these ideas of my own.
So you'd say Mike was sort of an initial firing rod for you to say, design, maybe I'll think about it. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, I think that's a fair statement. Yeah.
Okay. Well, listen, we're going to talk about this guy up here, and there are other designs, everybody. So just so you know, we're being easy on Chris because he's got a lot of ideas. It's going to be interesting to follow his career path here for design, because I know about and also the type of topics you pick, and I think we have to get more into that tonight because we want to lay the menu sort of some of the things you're looking at doing, but we are going to focus on Operation Storm 333. Now, I want to test the lag we have tonight with the comments from Facebook and YouTube. So I'm asking the audience a question now. And that is, please answer with a thumbs up, thumbs down, +1 if you know it. How many are familiar with what Operation Storm 333 is? I had to look it up. I'm sorry. I'm just, I'm not very, not that smart a guy. So I just want to see also what the delay is with our feed. So I'm going to wait for a little bit here. So everybody, if you're familiar with Operation Storm 333 historically, please post now in your comment thread on Facebook or YouTube if you're familiar with it. So Jack Staleka is a -1. Oh, very creative. So he went -1. He tricked me. Checking my eyesight. I could have said it was a plus. Keck says Googling it. Somebody else says Iteran hobbyist doesn't know. Richard is not aware of it. Stefan Slade, no idea. Eric Farago, never heard of it before. Here's, again, this is awesome. This is me, by the way. So you guys, yeah, exactly. I'm sort of like this. Is this the name of a weather system, right? No clue. What the hell are we talking about here, right? So I get that, I totally get that, really don't know what it is. So let's take a moment to find out a little bit about Operation Storm 333, and then we'll be right back with you.
It was a day that would change Afghanistan forever. December 27th, 1979. As dusk fell over the streets of Kabul.
Слышали там все остальное, там что там происходило, то стрельба там.
Soviet troops launched an assault on the Afghan government. This is the story of Operation Storm 333, the secret Soviet mission to assassinate the Afghan president and seize control of Kabul. It was the bloody opening act that would set Afghanistan on a course for decades of conflict.
All right, so December 27th, 1979 was a dark day in Afghani history, as you could see from that clip. So could you share with us, Chris, how did you come upon this topic of interest? And I'm going to actually share my screen just to show again, the cover for this game. This is just obviously a playtest cover that I'm talking about here, but maybe you could share a little bit about your interest, how you became interested in Operation Storm 333.
Yeah, absolutely. So I don't think I mentioned earlier that I've spent 10 years in the Army. Now I'm in the Army Reserve, but I did some time on active duty, and part of that time I spent a year in Afghanistan. So I had a long interest in Afghan history, and kind of what kicked off all the chaos that it's been experiencing was really this operation. Combine that with my growing up learning about Russian tanks and Russian army because of my dad's job. this seemed like a natural, a natural topic to explore.
Well, let's. Can you share a little bit? And I'm going to show some. Again, this is all playtest stuff, everybody, just so you know. And again, as I've mentioned in previous episodes, a lot of people ask, how do you get games? How does Compass get games out so quickly? It's because we've actually got a huge pipeline of designers like yourself, Chris, that have been working on designs for quite a while. So when we talk about a design, it's been worked on for quite a while already. But what I'd like to do is show some visuals while you talk about. Could you give everybody an elevator pitch about the game itself, and I'll show some visuals while you do that.
Okay, yeah. So Operation Storm 333 is a solitaire game in which the player controls the forces of the Soviet Union, namely the KGB, the GRU, and the airborne forces, as you plan and then execute the coup in Kabul in December of 1979. The first game was what you see here is the planning board. There's a turn marker for the calendar to track the development as you get closer to the operational day. And then what you don't see here there's 9 point-to-point maps in which you execute each tactical mission in succession. So the numbers you see on the map here correspond to what you see.
I can go back. Want me to stay here?
Yeah, no problem. No, you could go to the next one's fine.
Yeah, I've got a few maps here, so let me know when you want me to go to the next one, and I'll advance to the next one for you.
Okay, and as you see here, then in the second half of the game, you execute each mission in sequential order, which is determined by the player ahead of time on a point-to-point map, the tactical combat. And this is done through a chip pull mechanic, which with a few modifications, and you field key leaders and tactical units as you try to seize the objectives on each map. And then each map will also have different just terrain features and enemy opponents, but also effects. So as you complete each mission, might affect the next mission in various ways. But if you don't complete a mission, it'll affect it in different ways as well.
Okay, and then I'll go ahead and show the next map here. Can you explain what this is right here? Looks like a Department of Ministry or some, I don't know. It's definitely some type of a structure for sure in Afghanistan.
Yeah, so that first map was the palace. They showed a snapshot of the palace in that video, which was one of the key targets, and a large Soviet contingent assaulted that palace where the president was staying. And this map is actually the most complex one, those two maps together, because those two maps are fought at the same time or sequentially. So you do the exterior first, and then your troops that to the palace that's on the exterior map then move on to this map, which is the interior, and then you clear the palace and you conduct, basically close quarters combat using the chip pull system.
Great, and I think I have another map here as well. Here's another one.
And then most of the other maps are like this. They're a little bit smaller, and it's an interior of one of the other target buildings. So this one's the Afghan Army General Staff. I'm still working out some of the tactical mechanics as well as the layout. As you can imagine, the floor plans for some of these buildings are non-existent. So trying to make something that's realistic, but also has a flavor historicity to it is the challenge there.
Exactly. And then this is solitaire, right? For sure. So this is sort of like a campaign style composed of multiple missions. So definitely have some people of interest here. And then I think the next slide's going to be something else. I'm not sure. Yeah, we don't want to go there quite yet. So can you talk a little bit about where you are with this? I think you're using Vassal. I think some of the shots the first shot was Vassal, I believe. So you're doing Vassal for play testing. And then you're showing your youth. You're using Discord app. And Discord is something we've got now in Consum World that we use for our members. We do Wednesday night chats. But could you share a little bit about how you're going about this design, where you're at, what stage you're in, what kind of help you're getting? Just share a little bit about your journey so far with this design, what you're doing.
And if you don't mind going back to the first image of the main map there.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Vassal image here.
Yep.
Show some
so like
it's hard to see. Yep.
Yeah, so like you said, everything's on Vassal. The rule book is maybe 85% done. What's I'm working through now is most of the tactical system, and I'll get to that in a minute. But this part of the game is mostly essentially the planning portion, and this is where each turn you see the different key leaders, and these are key leaders that actually participated in the operation historically. They each have a different skill. They're each just aligned with a certain power ministry of the Soviet security services. And so they bring different things to the table. And as the turns progress, you get more key leaders, but you also recruit military tactical units based on the level of operational support you receive from the different organizations. And so you might be able to bring to bear not just KGB Spetsnaz, but also the airborne troops and their armored vehicles and things like that. And then you assign those to each mission based on your assessment of the risks involved. So you see in the bottom left, there's an intel and an alert marker for each location. And those are to tell you how much you're going to know ahead of time about the disposition and composition of the enemy forces on that specific mission. And the alert level is how many additional forces are going to be there on top of the ones that the game dictates are going to start there. And so there's a lot of variability to that piece. And so you're trying to balance your limited resources against all the missions that you're doing. And then it's
go ahead. Sorry.
Shifts. Yeah, no worries. And then it shifts to the tactical phase. So you see that middle bar there with the 1 through 8. That's the mission sequence. So you'll determine in what order you want to hit each objective area, and then you'll play out those objectives sequentially with the units that you assign there. And I mentioned there's a chip pool system, and the way I'm still kind of working out the details, but essentially each side will have a variable number of chits to determine where they move or when they can move, and then there'll be what I'm calling momentum chits, and basically the side that has the higher initiative, when the momentum chit is pulled, they'll be able to use that. And what I'm trying to capture is like the fluidity of close quarters combat. Instead of the I go, you go, and things are kind of stop and go. Things are just, and I'm hoping to get a design where things are constantly flowing forward, and you get a sense that the battle is constantly moving.
I was going to say, this is like one of your first, you're getting in designs now. I know there's a lot of different designs you're working on, but I would have started like with a hex-based game with no cards, no chits. And you're like, no problem. Yeah, we're going to have all these variables. And obviously replay values and be very good. You've got so much variability built in the game with the cards and cards.
And I did start. Yeah. And I did start with with hexes, with experimenting with hexes on a tactical map. But I wanted this to be a dedicated solo game, and so trying to develop a solitaire bot essentially for the opponent on a hex map I felt was too cumbersome. And I want to reduce the amount of administration that the player has to do for the opponent.
Great. Well,
and you did mention cards. Yeah, you did mention cards too, so I'll just mention the cards that are up here that you can see. So there's three sets of cards. There's the event deck. So at the beginning of every turn, a new event card is pulled. It could be a good event that lets you get new leaders or increase support, or it could be a bad event that decreases support, or maybe one of your leaders gets relieved of commands or something to that effect. And there's over 30 events. So there's more events than there are turns. So every turn you're not necessarily going to get the same, or every game you're not necessarily going to get the same events. And then there's the operational deck, and those can be applied in the planning phase and also the execution phase, depending on what card it's pulled. And some of them let you do special tasks like take a shot at an objective area or one of the objective conditions in a mission area before you actually do the mission, so you don't necessarily have to commit as many troops to it. And then the last one are the tactics cards, which are used in the tactical map, and the typical kind of tactics cards gives you additional DRN to a die roll, or lets you scratch off a hit on one of your forces, things like that.
Great. Well, that was a nice little deep dive in there, and I think you've definitely done a great job introducing your design concept and the theme of the games. Very interesting. Sounds, something we haven't seen published before, I think is safe to say too, which is awesome. So very compelling topic, and a lot of people here, 90% hadn't heard of Operation Storm 333 before. So let's go to some more audience questions for you. So Jack's asking what your design emphasis is, as you can see here. Is it towards simulation monster scale or towards more modest range, shorter time, less effort to learn play?
Yeah, most of my designs will be in the more modest range. I do like a lot of variability. I don't necessarily like fixed scenarios, so most of my designs will have a modest range, but with some flexibility to it. Though I do have some monster game ideas in mind, but we could talk about that at
another
future
show.
Yeah,
one of many, hopefully.
As those ideas mature more. I would love to do like a monster, like sci-fi alien invasion type of game where you kind of take these kind of like World in Flames, but with with a sci-fi twist to it. But that's all pie in the sky stuff right now. But I'll be taking notes on this as those ideas come to mind.
So you mentioned World in Flames. Have you played World in Flames? I'm guessing yes.
I've played part. I mean, if by play you mean play from start to finish, no. But if by standing and looking at the table and move stuff around for a few turns. Mm-hmm.
There you go. All right. Let's see. Dan has a question for you over on YouTube. How do you come up with a game idea? What is your creative process?
So I think I have a two-part answer for that. I have a lot of ideas that come to mind. A lot of them aren't. So I'm trying to narrow those down to what's feasible. And what I'd love to do is to come up with like 2 or 3 really good systems I can call my own, and make a series of games in each system. I'm modifying the systems based on like the scenario, the conflict, and also what I learn and player feedback from publishing them. And so, different ideas strike me while I'm watching TV or talking to other folks about different subject matter, and I think, oh, that might be an interesting game to do. So, I take notes and I keep a list of all these different ideas, and it's just a matter of which ones float to the top as far as feasibility. And then my design process, I usually write out the rules first, because I have a lot of time and like in the car and in the commuting and stuff, just thinking about things. So I'm usually just like working through concepts in my head. I'll write out the rules, at least the general concepts first, before I even start building like prototype components. And then at some point I'll put it in Vassal and start moving things around and see what happens.
All right. Sounds good. And we'll get deeper into, your design process when we get closer, when the finished design and it's developed and everything. We'll definitely have you back to talk about, what's happening with your design work and changes. This is a fun question because you mentioned hockey. I'm guilty. I'm a Dallas Stars season ticket holder. So sorry, not Boston, although somebody left a Boston beanie at my chair. So I have a Boston Bruins beanie that I wear all the time because it's a cool little thing to wear. But I'm a huge hockey fan as well. So Keith's a hockey fan. He's wondering about sports games like hockey. So don't know if you have any ideas in that area.
No, not at the time. But hey, like they say, hockey's just a boxing match interrupted by a sporting game, right? Sporting event.
Amen.
So,
amen.
Maybe there's something there to it.
And if you want to disclose personal information, I don't know if you want to go there, but Richard's curious about where you are.
So I'm a captain in the reserves. So basically that means I push paperwork around on staff and look at metrics and spreadsheets and PowerPoint presentations. So that's the extent of my reserve job.
Great. Well, listen, we're excited about, again, right here, Operation Storm 333. So obviously not on pre-order yet. A lot of people don't even know what it covered, and I think we've hopefully done a good job introducing this one of many designs you're working on. So I want to just close the segment with just to give a flavor for something else you're working on as well. So over here we've got a early map. If you can share what this is with everybody, just to talk about another design, one of many you have in the works right now.
Yeah, so this one is tentatively called Future War Korea. It's a 2-player, low counter density game about a hypothetical near future conflict on the Korean Peninsula. It's really inspired mostly by a lot of Carl Preorder's games where they're low counter density but a lot of flexibility. So I wanted to, kind of strike that balance between that with that, and get after a conflict that could be really interesting. And so that doesn't use the activation mechanics of that is very unique. So I'm really excited to see how that develops.
Great. And let me just see. Yeah, no, that was perfect. So yeah, that was a wonderful, I think, introduction. So again, one thing I wanted to, I'm just typing because I'm getting something ready here off to the screen here. But I just want to say how excited we are at Compass Games to be working with you. Like I said, I think we crossed paths, a little over a year ago, perhaps. I was surprised. It's been a year, actually. It feels like 6 months, but
Yes.
I guess it's been a year now. And, there are other designs you're working on that we just, to do an introduction, we just can't cover them all, I think, and just not enough time. And really, this is just great to be able to introduce you to everybody so everybody can become more familiar with you. Can you share a little bit about like where people can reach you? Like, I think you have a Discord channel, or just, if people want to reach out to you, they can actually contact me directly. I don't know if you're looking, I think we're gonna be looking for play testers for some of your designs, for example.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. So
yeah, so
yeah.
I'll definitely, anything, I'll mention playtest requests or players wanted, but I don't know if there's any other activities as far as where folks can find you online.
Yeah, so I'm pretty active on Facebook. There's a large wargaming group. I think it's just called Wargamers, and you can look me up there. I posted some screenshots from here, from the Vassal mod on there as well. And you could reach out to me on there. And we could take it from there if you're interested in playtesting.
Okay, great. So Chris, we're going to be talking again. We're going to stay in touch, obviously. I think we'll put out a call when we're ready for Operation Storm 333. I think we're looking to do get some more volunteers to do Vassal playtesting. So I'm hoping when we put out that call, we'll find some folks interested in that. And really looking forward to that, really looking forward to working with you and checking back in. And then, of course, we'll talk about your other designs. Jack just wants to remind you that the Montreal Canadiens rule. So just, a little side slap. Like I said, it's a rough crowd,
Yeah, rough crowd. Yeah.
Chris, but I want to just let you be able to say thanks to everybody. And then I'm going to finish up the show with a new pre-order announcement, but I'll turn the stage over to you with any closing thoughts for tonight.
Yeah, thanks everyone for coming in, asking your questions, and thanks to you, John and Compass, for giving me an opportunity to put some of my ideas into reality. So I look forward to hearing everybody's feedback about the game and great things we're going to take game design in the future.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Chris. I want to thank you again for joining us. We'll be in touch. And I want to thank everybody for just a bunch of great questions you asked today. And again, I'm really heartened to see really a next generation of designers and people interested in the hobby. And you've got a lot to offer with your background and expertise and interests. So we're going to be putting a lot of positive pressure to see great things coming from you. And we're going to give you all the support we can. We're a very supportive community. I was joking about being hard on you. We're actually very supportive and
Yep.
wanting to see your games get published. So we're looking forward to that day. So thank you again, Chris, and thanks for joining us tonight. Bye-bye. All right, so what I want to do now is actually we're going to switch over to, as you can see here, our coming soon is we're going to cap off the show with a pre-order game announcement. I hope that sounds good to you. So what I just need to do here quickly is I'm going off screen. That's why my head's turning to the side. I need to basically enable the page so it shows up so we can start talking about it. So just give me one moment here. And again, we do have quite a few pre-orders that we need to get through. So that's on me. Just a lot of things going on at Compass right now, to say the least, that I'm definitely excited about. And certainly we want to tell you about it as we get the opportunity. So it's just taking a little bit time to get there. So I think without further ado, I'm going to be able to update the page, and then I'll share with you, and I'll unveil our new pre-order announcement for tonight, July 2nd, 2020. So let me get it ready for you. And let's see here. Okay, almost there. All right, let's try one more click to see if it works. There we go. So with that, with no further ado, I'm going to go ahead and bring up my screen. And this should do it. Too small. How about like this? So yes, so Defending America. So if you're familiar with America Bomber by Gregory M. Smith solitaire game, this is, let's call it sort of an add-on sequel to American Bomber Evil Queen of the Skies. So Defending America by Gregory M. Smith. It's another pure solitaire design, although there is cooperative play mode for the game, as well as what I really like about this game is that you can combine it with America Bomber. So in this case, America Bomber, you're obviously the German bombers. It's a different outcome of World War II. It's around 47, 48, and the Germans are bombing eastern shores of United States. That was America Bomber. It's done quite well because it's based on the B-17 Queen of the Skies game system. So here we're reversing roles a little bit, where now you're these experimental interceptors that the Americans have going against the bombers. So again, it is now available on our website for pre-order. We've got quite a bit of content. This is something I think I covered in a previous episode, that the game is going to go to print very soon, actually. It's been fully developed and play tested by quite a few people. So we've got not just the cover, but we've got the back cover of the game. We'll give you a lot more information about it, so you can preview the back cover of the game. I'll just go through and cycle through the rest of the components. We've got the air operations map. This will be similar to what you saw with America Bomber, same concept. Got the sequence of play listed there as well. We've got the single set of counters, 9/16 inch counters. You can see the front sides that are there. They're all done. They've got the medals and the awards. And again, it follows along the lines of Gregory Smith's great solitaire designs, where you look at all these human factors as well, and these soft factors behind the game. So where the play experience, builds a huge play narrative around the game. We've got the combat mat, or this is actually the position chart that we have for the game for the combat mat. So you can see some of the modifiers and charts we have there, and the various ranges for combat engagement. So again, you can find all this on the Compass site, brand new as of 2 minutes ago. We're really excited to have America Bomber. I've got 2 aircraft displays, and there's a lot of aircraft displays, actually, much more than we had than America Bomber. So Defending America has quite a few more displays. You'll see the list on the product page. We list it all out. So there's quite a few of these experimental planes listed. And again, it goes back to the crew members. So we've got some information here around pre-flight school, spare time activities for the crew members, etc. So as Greg always happens to do, he builds these great narratives around the game. So again, Defending America, let's see, and Greg's commenting here for me. So it's wonderful to have his comment. I'll bring it in here. And again, we'll have Greg on a future episode for sure. We're going to go more in depth about the game. So here we go. Half are actual fighters that the U.S. had during the period, and then the other half, so secret weapons of the U.S. So there we go. And there's 16 aircraft total. So again, thanks for the assist, Greg. So yes, we're very excited to have this on pre-order. And again, it won't be long, I don't think, before this game will be shipping. This is one of those games that's been done. I've got pretty much all the artwork I'm showing you right now for the game. I held some back, but yes, all the artwork's basically done. So we are definitely looking forward to America, to Defending America. So Defending America is our new pre-order. And again, I just want to thank everybody for being here tonight. It was really a pleasure to have, again, Chris Davis on to introduce him to everybody. He's got a lot of different designs coming out. Again, we're starting with Operation Storm, but there's going to be many, many more. And then, of course, we introduced Defending America by Gregory Smith. So we're very happy to be able to take pre-orders on that game right now. So with that, I hope you'll join us next week, next Thursday on July 9th. We'll be joined again with Bill Thomas of Compass Games. And also Bill will be, we'll go through the schedule again. We'll have some updates to our schedule as well. So we'll be sure to cover updates to our release schedule. So we'll be happy to do that next Thursday during our Compass Games Town Hall meeting, which will be number 3, our 3rd Town Hall meeting. So we're getting there and really enjoy doing them with everybody. And then as you submit your questions to us directly, we'll be able to include those questions. So again, I want to thank everybody for your time today. And we look forward to seeing you in a future Compass broadcast. And hopefully I'll be seeing you next week, next Thursday. For those celebrating July 4th weekend, have a great holiday. Stay safe. And I'll see you next Thursday, everybody. Bye-bye.